context, but you can't have anybody behind you or in front of you, at least not directly, if you're going to practice the social distancing that we're being taught needs to be done. So I just don't know if any of these things are going to work.
Yeah, and it just depends on what the guidelines are at that point, I guess, and all that. That at some point, they will need to travel and be together on each other to some degree. And hopefully at that point, it's closer to having very few cases around, and then we're closer to beating this by the time we get going. I think that's really the way. And then, maybe some of those guys need to be strengthened so that they can be together. But I think we're still talking about something that's far away. Are you having a hard
Boy, it's just very hard for me to make out. There's a lot of breakup when you're speaking. I don't know if it's the same when I'm speaking, but I'm
No,
hearing a lot of unclear because
you're clear.
I'm only making out every third word that you're saying. This
Well,
is
just
why
yeah.
I love radio, folks.
I don't know if I can help you there. What what are you doing? Anything to keep yourself busy?
This is about it. No, it's hard to keep a routine. The last thing I think you want to do in the circumstances we're under right now is develop a routine because routines become dull, right? So we're all in a very quote dull situation. And so I like to try to mix things up, at least based on time of day. I'm blessed right now to be in a warm climate, so I can take advantage of some of the outdoor things, and I try to do them at different intervals, different times of the day. Um, I think we talked last week about just seizing the opportunity to do a lot of reading, and I'm just reading some fabulous novels lately. Many of them written by a fellow named Andrew Gross, who's become kind of a new favorite of mine. If you've ever read One Man, I'm about two-thirds of the way through that now, and it's one of the best novels I've read in years. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to spend a little more time doing that. But you really strive for positivity right now because we've been doing this for what, 5 weeks or so, and there's no immediate end in sight. They can all formulate whatever plans they want about playing baseball wherever they want. But as you said, it's not happening anytime soon. And so it can be rather daunting to look ahead and think, well, how many more weeks or even months are we going to go through this? But, the shameful reality is we've got to go through it. So, some days are better than others for me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, definitely. I think that this it comes and goes as far as the waves of being upset about it and trying to deal with it. And I know that most people are working from home, or a lot of people have certainly lost their jobs and all this. I hope that this gets a lot better real soon, because I think people are hurting one way or the other because of this thing. What?
Tell you what I'm doing a lot. What's that?
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say what I'm doing a lot less of these days is watching TV news. I just can't take it anymore. It's just it's like how many times can you get hit over the head with a shovel before you just say make it stop hurting? So
Yeah.
I stay current. Obviously, I read the newspapers, and that's no barrel of laughs either, except for the sports sections, and some of them have been great. Creative columns and entertaining columns, and in some cases, real poignant columns. But the news side's getting a little hard for me to digest.
What do you think Madge has been doing? He works like 350 days a year between the Mets and the Rangers and the Knicks and the Giants and the St. John's. Wow, he's got no games to cover. So, what do you think he's doing to keep himself?
Are we bound by FCC regulations here? Because before I even venture a guess, I'm not real certain it would go. I have no idea. Um, and you're right. He's a machine. He's going every night, different venues. Sometimes, especially during the latter part of the college basketball season, if he's got games, They could be at remote sites. Um, I don't know. I mean, we've texted a little bit, um, but I have a feeling that somebody may be paying for his boredom.
Yeah, yeah. I've thought a lot about him because he's always so busy. We do we do have some news to share along the WCBS Mets radio. I can't even see myself anymore. But
Yeah, I've lost your side of the screen.
it's I'm told that you're on Twitter now. You're on Twitter?
Not yet. Not yet. It's getting close. I have I have resolved to go through with it, but I'm waiting because I think Twitter's got to help me out here in getting the right name, my name, which somebody might have already had. I don't know. There are some technicalities that need to take place before I'm good to tweet, so to speak. But yeah, that shows you the level of boredom I'm at right now. I'm about to tweet.
You're what do you think your first tweet's gonna be? I mean, this is big news.
What will my first tweet be? Oh, I'm
Yeah.
not spilling that one here. I've been thinking about that for years. As Madge, as long as you brought Madge up, in Madge's words, you have to pay extra for that. But I will say preemptively, there's going to be nothing salacious, nothing that would seek to create controversy. It's all about having fun. That's all it is. I'm just going to contribute here and there to the wonderful piece of society and boon to mankind that is Twitter. And if we all live to talk about it, we'll be better off.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you. You know, it's a wild place. So you don't have a handle.
Good luck to all of us.
You don't have.
How do you
You
think
don't have.
it'll go over? What's that?
You don't have a screen name just yet.
No, I'm waiting for confirmation on that.
All right. Well, we'll be waiting.
But it'll be my name. I mean, it's not gonna. I'm not gonna be anonymous. I'm not trying to hide anything. I've been doing that for years. You know. But you got to give me some tips. I mean, for one thing, you're going to feel somewhat liberated because I won't be bugging you. Hey, tweet this out for me, or here's a picture. Tweet that out for me. Now I'm left to my own devices, which we all know never ends well. But at the same time, I come to you for help. Give me a couple of pieces of advice here.
Yeah. Well, just stay out of Twitter jail. That's my advice.
Twitter jail?
Yeah.
How does one become imprisoned by the Twitter jail?
I don't know, but I think that you'll find a way. It's fun.
Oh boy. Well, what are the odds? What are the odds? Let's say I go on, what's today, April 10th? Let's say for argument's sake, I go on tomorrow on the, what would that be? 58th anniversary of the Mets playing their first game. Oh, I'd love to go on tomorrow for that. April 11th, 1962, they played their first game. Tomorrow makes 58 years since their debut. That would be a poignant start for me. But what would you make the over/under for how long I last on there?
I think you'll be on there. I think I'll give you 6 months.
Really?
Give you the season, yeah.
And then we revisit, or then I'm shut down.
Yeah. It'll be time to reevaluate it to see how you did.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I wouldn't sign a multi-year deal with you if I was you.
No. Not that I would necessarily expect it, but do we have it, like, are people supposed to be calling in or writing in, or is there some number or something we're supposed to give them?
No, I think there was a link, and they just tweeted out the link like 2 minutes ago. So I think, even though we've been on here for I don't know if we're gonna get any questions or not, but said they might text me. You know, last time we talked, I told you that I was playing a lot of and I had 1973 Willie Mays on my team. So now I've upgraded. I've got 1967 Tom Seaver on my team.
60 what? Again, you're breaking up. Seaver?
67
Oh, rookie year.
rookie year.
But you're not playing the entire 67 Mets schedule, are you? Because that's a bad ball club.
No, just Seaver from that year.
Oh, it's rookie of the year.
Yeah. So it's fun. It kills some time. That's really all I'm looking for.
Oh, I'm getting a text here. I don't know if this counts as an actual question, but I'll relay it because he's such a good guy, and he still can't grasp the concept that I can't play the stinking game that I'm trying to play. But Joe Kersey has said, watching your live stream, congratulations, Joe, you're the one. And he says, has the golf game improved with the extra time off? I will say this, it has never been better than it's been in the nearly 3 weeks since I last played. Because if I'm not playing, I'm in a much better mood. So I haven't thrown a club. I haven't kicked the golf cart. I haven't done anything else that would result in the kind of behavior I've been known to exhibit from time to time because of my stinkiness. So, no, it has not improved, but it's actually in some ways the best it's ever been because I ain't playing.
Has your stress level gone down because of
Yes, from not playing, you mean? Yes. Oh, absolutely. Oh, I'm in a much better mood when I'm not playing. Absolutely. It's crazy, isn't it?
Well, it doesn't sound fun if it's not fun. I've only played maybe 6 or 7 times in my life. So, I'm not an avid golfer. It would take a long time to learn it.
Yeah. Try attempting to learn it in your 60s um, without any natural ability. But you know what the confounding part of the game is? And people tell me just be patient, that this is golf. You know, I can, and I have, hit one off the tee, drive it 230, 240. Not that I do that consistently, don't get me wrong, but I can do that. And so maybe I'll hit one 230. And then the next three shots I take are worm burners. How does that happen? And that's when I get angry. And that's when, you know, the tension builds and you start squeezing the club and you try and take a nice, easy little chip and the ball sails 40 yards beyond its target, or you just hit it off to this side or off to that side, and just thinking about it is making me PO'd. Bringing it all back.
How was it for you to watch back the game after September 11th that ESPN showed a week or so ago?
It's interesting you bring that up because it reinforced that I remembered nothing about that game other than Mike's home run. I really mean that. I forgot who the winning pitcher was. And it turned out to be Armando Benitez, who didn't really help. I think his first pitch was driven for a run scoring hit that put the Braves ahead, I think. But, apart from the pageantry, and really it was such solemn pageantry, it's almost an oxymoron at that point, given the circumstances. But other than Mike's home run, I remembered nothing. And watching that, nothing happened where I said, oh, yeah, that's right. None of it. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, I just watched the game, a few days ago, and I don't remember anything either besides Mike's home run, even after having just seen it. Except for one thing that stands out. The team is wearing the New York City first responder, and it
Right.
stands out so much to see that. And I know we talked about it on the airplane, and I know the Mets want to do it. Basically, stood in the way of them doing that again.
Yeah, and again, I heard a little bit of breakup towards the end of what your point is, but that's a subject that's near and dear to so many of us in New York. There is no logical reason. And if we're lucky enough to be playing before a crowd around September 11th in New York this year, when the conversation starts all over again, um, every medical worker or every medical um, unit should be saluted around that time, as we always try to salute first responders. Because you talk about heroes, you've got people in the medical profession who are literally giving their lives to save others. I mean, that's the seriousness of what we're going through now. We all know that. But I asked the same question that I asked this past September 11th. Joe Torre was good enough to address it with us in the booth, although his hands were really tied because he's not a decision maker in that particular instance. But someone has got to tell me whose rights are being infringed upon, who is losing something, monetarily or otherwise, by allowing the Mets to wear first responder caps every September 11th. There is simply no good answer to that question.
Next year is 20 years since September 11th, 2001. I've heard that there's some plans in the works to do at least something to commemorate, uh, memorialize the day, 20 years, the anniversary next year. So we'll see if that's allowed to do something different next year for that. But at this point, just hoping to play at all on September 11th this year would be a good thing for San Francisco.
Absolutely. And I hope it's in our, meaning 30 team generic, our home ballparks, whether there are fans or not. Mike Vaccaro had a terrific column in the Post today, that also is an offshoot of another article that was in the Post about a poll that had been taken of fans, with the question being how comfortable would they be returning to a large facility like Citi Field, like Yankee Stadium, like Madison Square Garden. And there were a majority of, and it becomes an awful lot of very squeamish people. And that is quite understandable. But the sobering part of both the article and Mike's column is that it triggers the question, just when will we ever go to a ballpark with 40, 50,000 people jammed in there again? Right now, that seems so distant, it's almost hard to imagine. And again, it was reading Mike Vaccaro's column today really makes you think about where people's priorities are right now, and just what baseball's got to do to get back on the field, and whether it would be worth any risks whatsoever, because it doesn't sound like there are many people willing to take them.
Yeah, it's a crazy situation, and I know that New York and its outlying areas have hit the hardest with the United States. So it's not really on people's minds that way right now, but I feel like once things improve and everybody's confident that those moods will change, and I think by the time the summer rolls around and baseball's trying to get out there, I think that people would like to get back to the park. We'll see. I mean, it's very possible that there will be no fans in any baseball stadium at all, whether they play or not elsewhere without fans. We'll see. It seems like it would be a long shot if no fans at all. But I know that once fans are back and people feel comfortable again, I think we're going to have maybe similar atmosphere to what you had on September night 2001 when the Mets and the Braves field against.
Yeah, it's hard to forecast because before this is over, and there already have been, and there will certainly be, not that there could ever necessarily be a final tally anytime soon, but there's an appreciable amount of life being lost here. So I think the ceremonies, such as they will be whenever that wonderful day comes when we can have baseball in front of fans again, will be as solemn as it was on September 11th, but with a different layer of enthusiasm. I think it'll be a very joyful yet solemn occasion. More joyful maybe than most games that either of us would ever have attended up to that point. Um, but I think the key to getting back to that is going to be a vaccine. And all we've been told since this began 6, 8 weeks ago, at least to the level that it's become now, is that it may take 12 to 18 months to get a vaccine. Well, maybe it takes less than that. I keep seeing and reading where there's supposedly some progress being made along those lines. But when they get a vaccine, I think that's when people are going to feel comfortable um, eschewing all of these measures we're taking now and saying, okay, I'm immunized, let's go. That's what it's going to take, in my estimation.
Yeah, hopefully that will be the case, and people can get back out and just start playing again. That would be the best thing for everybody. Just games on TV again, a real game would be great. Saw Gary and Keith and Ron broadcasted a video game the other day. What would the challenge be for you to call a video game?
Well, it would have to be a whole lot better technically than this one's been today, because I could barely hear you from time to time. But I'm willing to do anything because it's all about trying to have fun with this predicament that we're all in, if that's possible. And, they are what they are. They're simulations, but under the right circumstances, they can be enjoyable. So I'm up for it if they can figure out how to do it. Um, as I've said, count me in.
All right. Well, I think next time we'll try to figure out some technical issues, and we'll be on our way to having a little bit higher quality broadcast next time we do this. But it was fun to get together with you, and hopefully we'll have some baseball to broadcast tonight.
You're going full out with that beard, though, huh? That's pretty good. I mean, yours is impressive. Look at the grungy. That's terrible, isn't it? But I don't care. I ain't shaving.
Yeah, I'm just protesting like they used to do in the 60s and 70s when they just grow their hair long and their beards long.
Yeah. Well, maybe once I get on Twitter. Once I get on Twitter, I'll tweet out a picture when I had hair down to here. And if this keeps up much longer, I'm going right back there.
Yeah, we'll look normal again. All right. Well,
That's overrated. Okay, Wayne.
All right. Bye, everybody.